Hey, Shalom, Akim, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the whole elect. Northern the gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the spirit. This is for more Orlando Minor. This guy cracks me up with that crazy laugh he got. But anyway, it says it's official. The job market is crashing. And that's facts, man, because people are getting laid off all across the board, especially since in the banking sector, in the corporate sector, you have AI that's been replacing all these jobs, man. Okay, you had corporations that's laying off as many as 2,000 people, some 4,000, and big banks planning to lay off over 40,000. Well, I won't say 40,000. That's a lot. It's a lot of employees, but over 20. No, I think it was, what's the report that I looked? I think it was like 40,000 employees over a course of time, man, which that's a lot of fucking workers. And this isn't just like one particular branch, but it's like several bank branches that's trying to save billions of dollars, man, because AI is taking over every goddamn thing. This is why, learn this AI shit, even though this system is through, most people, they're not going to be able to get by on their ordinary skills, because now having a college degree don't mean shit, because they hit you with the term, or you're overqualified. Here you got people that went to school 5-6 years to get master's degrees, and they can't even qualify to get a job at Mickey D's, man. To show you how bad this economy really is. Like, we had a meeting last week, and they wasn't being very transparent about the funding, but they did mention, they said, yeah, we lost a lot of programs and fundies and this and this and that, but they got in-house money. So a lot of these particular departments where I work at will be decent for the time being. But even then, they're running out of money. So eventually these jobs are going to shut down. And you know what? It is what it is. I was looking at one video, and this lady, she was kind of in a dilemma, an emotional dilemma, to say the least. It was bittersweet, because she was like, well, it's one of the most chaotic, peaceful things that's ever happened to her, losing her job, because in fact, you lose your gig, then, you own the nail for rent and paying your bills and car notes and mortgages and all this other shit. But then you don't have to deal with the mental nuisance of having somebody working over you and being put in predicaments that's unfavorable or that's not conducive to your mental health. So people are taking the bitter with the sweet. But for the most part, you women, all right, and you Jakes, man, that's totally invested in this kingdom, you're going to have the biggest wake-up call, because, you spend thousands of dollars to go to these schools and these institutions, when having a damn bachelor's degree don't mean nothing no more. I always go into the account on how I know people that went to school and got a master's degree, but yet they're working in school cafeterias. So make that make sense. So it says here, there's an No, that's not what I'm looking for. It says to get a job these days, you need 2 years in job seeking experience. That's true, man. Because you got chicks, they were like, I applied to 300 jobs and only got 2 interviews and no callbacks. Rather discouraging. So, those of us that do have gainful employment, hey, count yourself somewhat fortunate, because you're able to, still take care of your finances and do what you got to do until you can't. But it will come a time that we will have to totally detach from the society, and we'll have to just go cold turkey off the grid, man. If Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Ratazah. So anyway, I'm going to play a couple of minutes of this video, and we'll get a couple of precepts, but these people were through. All right.
That's the number of jobs.
By the way, fair use, fair use, fair use. I make no money off these videos. Fair use, fair use.
Applied to as of today. 3,000 jobs. During the course of the year and a half that I've been out of work after a injury that happened on the job, trying to find another job has been so difficult. Now, mind you, I have 25 years experience as a sales manager, 29 years as an event manager. I'm well overqualified for any job I apply to, but yet for some reason, over the course of me applying to 3,000 jobs, I've only had 9 interviews.
Now, guys, what does this sound like? What does this sound like? This sounds like 2008. It does. Now, I know what you're thinking to yourself. 3,000
He must not have any degrees. He must not have any experience. He must have had 10 years off of work.
But what if I told you? But what if I told you? None of that's true.
Wait, what?
And that this job market that we're currently in is one of the roughest, one of the worst. What? But no one's telling you that. Because you are going to the news. You're going to CNN. You're going to Fox. You're going to all these huge media places, and they're telling you the economy's fine. They're telling you the job market is one of the strongest that it's ever been.
Stop the cat.
That's bullshit because just last year in October, only 12,000 jobs were added to the market that month. Okay, that's below average. That's horrible. All right. So this economy is bad. It's horrible. It's falling. It's faltering. And people are feeling the squeeze, man. It just, of course, you got some cities that's, booming more than others because there's a high demand for certain products and commodity. Like, prime example, Kansas City is pretty much a decent hot spot right now because the Chiefs bought all that money here. But if the Chiefs didn't win those couple of Super Bowls, this city would be cooked, man. Like they got the World Cup coming here next year. Louisville, it doesn't come to fruition, but they're building all these new lofts and these apartments. I'm like, how the hell are y'all building all this real estate here, but can't nobody afford to live in it? All right. I mean, the average 1-bedroom apartment in Kansas City, Missouri is going for $1,200 a month. Like, where in the hell do they do that at? A city like Kansas City? I mean, give me a break. They act like this is, they're trying to be on par with New York, Chicago, LA, Dallas. Hell, and Boston is probably cheaper to live out there than here. But hey, they're doing it.
You know that I'm going to show you better than that. You know that I'm going to give you receipts to prove that isn't correct. And that we will continue to see this happen as the months go on and go on, as we go on to the end of the year. And unfortunately, I'm going to give a prognosis that a lot of people may not want to hear. But anyway, we're going to jump into it, guys. My name is Orlando. Welcome to the channel, guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help out the channel. Also, I have a newsletter, and you know the deal. It's free. How
Nigga
can
always
you
trying to
be
sell
free?
something.
You can't. And then also, too,
I can't stand his ugly ass. Oh, Daffy Duck talking, nigga. Nigga talks like he talks like his nose is stopped up, like he literally talks and don't breathe. But nonetheless, man, hey, this is a bad market, and you people, you're through, man. All right. So this is the book of Isaiah 19, and I'm gonna start at verses because this is gonna lead to civil unrest eventually. People are gonna get tired. People are gonna start marching on these governments. They're already pissed off at Trump because he's broken every promise, and I mean every promise he done made to the American people. About bringing back economic stability, but all these tariffs and all this other stuff he was talking about, how they was going to bring jobs back to America. I'm like, you're not going to bring jobs back here. Like, nobody's going to pay to bring manufacturing back here. And on top of that, you're not going to pay people $18 an hour to work in a sweatshop. It's like, bro, this ain't the 1950s no more, man. If you paying people to work in a warehouse, hey, you got to start them at least $35, $40 an hour with benefits and PTO on the spot. All right, so it's not looking too good. But anyway, this is the book of Isaiah 19, and I'm gonna start at verses 1, and we're gonna kind of jump around a little bit. And it reads, it says, "The burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and should come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt should be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt should melt in the midst of it." This is when Yahushua comes back with that chariot, what Esau calls a UFO, which is a chariot or vehicle of the Heavenly Father that the angels ride in, man. All right. And it reads, it says, "And the Egyptians, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they should seek to all the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards." So people are going to be looking for answers. Okay, they're going to want to know what the hell is going on. Where's all the tax dollars going? Why aren't they investing in infrastructure? Why are they spending money on the war when technically they promised to end the wars and yet they're intensifying? So people are pretty much like, they're at their wits' end. But yet rents, the cost of groceries, retail, merchandise, everything is getting more expensive. Hell, you look at the price on a used vehicle, it's pretty much you be better off buying a brand new car. You know, because people don't have it like that no more. Okay, credit card debt hit an all-time high. Like, people are literally living off credit card debt because they don't have the disposable income on hand. And the Egyptians I would give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king should rule over them, says the Lord and the Lord of hosts. And that cruel lord is looking like your man Trump 2.0. You know, everybody put this guy back in office because they thought he was going to make America great again, because all of the madness that Biden has brought to the economy through Bidenomics. Inflation is at an all-time high. They thinking Trump was going to come back and curb inflation, but in fact, inflation has increased a little bit more in certain areas. This is why they're having talks now. I believe today they're going to vote on the interest rates of the Fed. So depending on if they go up on the interest rates, then, you know, they feel like they can curb the inflation a little bit. But regardless of it, people is getting ready to see less of their spending power. All right. And it says here, the waters of the Nile shall fail to rise, and the floods the fields, and the riverbeds with the parched and dry. It says the canals of the Nile would dry up, and the streams of Egypt would stink, and the rotting reeds, and it says Egypt would stink with rotting reeds and rushes, going to them plagues, and all the greenery along the riverbank and all the crops along the river will dry up and blow away, and the fishermen will lament for the lack of work. Okay, those who cast hooks into the Nile will groan, and those who use nets will loosen heart. And the Nile is just another way, because, you know, we're not in physical Egypt, we're in America, okay? But you have rivers that's equivalent to the Nile. Like, some people say that the version of the Nile River in America is the Mississippi, okay? Which that's up for debate, but regardless of it, you know, there's a big comparisons. And it says here, and the fishermen who lament for a lack of work, and those who cast hooks into the Nile will groan, and those who use nets will lose heart, and there would be no flax for the harvesters, no threads for the weavers, and they would be in despair, and all the workers will be sick at heart, right? Because, like I said, this economy is getting ready to collapse, especially when Trump just signed, it's called the Genius Act, when he's getting ready to digitize all the assets, and the money is getting ready to be digital. Everything is getting ready to go on a digital grid. So they're going to have to do away with all these conveniences of people to get you to opt into the new system. And those of you that refuse, well, we know what that leads to. You're just going to basically exercise the options on the Georgia Guidestones, and they're going to eliminate 6.5 billion people, or they're going to try to at least. So mass death is definitely coming. All right.
If you need any type of financing that deals with commercial properties or investment properties, I am your guy. Listen, the information is in the pinned comment and the description, but let's jump to it, guys. Listen, we've had this conversation over and over and over again. People in the comment section, people who send me DMs and emails, they want to argue with me and tell me, Orlando, the economy isn't as bad as you think it is.
I disagree.
Orlando, my friend Josh, he got 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 job offers, and he didn't know what to do. Orlando, do you know
So wild, man.
that we're getting raises that are 10, 20, in some instances, 30%?
Huh?
And I'm scratching my head and saying, can you give us a treasure map and show us where these are? Can you please give me the direction signal to tell me and everyone else where these jobs are?
Tell me.
But for some reason, when I dive a little bit deeper and I trust my eyes, I see something different. What do I see? I see individuals saying, Orlando, it's the Hunger Games out here. Orlando, I can't find the job if my life depended on it. Orlando, the jobs that are only available are DoorDash, Uber Eats. But listen, we're gonna continue on. That first clip, let's continue on to hear what he says, because I understand some people don't trust me, but maybe if you heard it from someone else.
Over the course of me applying to 3,000 jobs, I've only had 9 interviews, and I've had maybe 15 callbacks, and all the other ones are fake. These days, you have to actually look at the actual website versus Indeed or LinkedIn, but both of those sites are basically worthless. They're now becoming social media sites where it's more about popularity versus an actual job. So, I'm just putting it out there. Tomorrow is my birthday. It would be really nice if I could find work. So I'm putting that out there to the gods above. There's only so much resources that I can use before I run out of money. And frankly, the market is that bad.
Did you hear that? The market is that bad. We always have to reflect and remember the past. Remember the past when I told individuals, listen, you may want to go after those jobs now and collect all of the money and the bonus money that they're giving you, because I'm telling you right now, it will not last.
All the money they're giving you.
All right, bro. Keep going. Verses. Yep. Let's go here. Scriptures call you a bunch of goddamn brutes. Well, you people are extremely stupid to allow it to get this far, but it's all prophetic, and it's a beautiful thing because it's a step close to us getting up out of here. Because you people, man, you people are proud as hell. You're proud and you're extremely arrogant. You're very narcissistic. That's one thing about this culture. This is a very narcissistic culture, and this is what they breed. So really, we don't feel bad for you because all of the scriptures say those that labor in vain. So out of all the accolades you done paid into to have these high-paying jobs and these high-end titles, you can kiss that shit goodbye. Especially you women out there. Oh, I got a bachelor's degree, I got a master's degree, I got this, I got that. Like the black woman prides herself on being the most educated, but as I say, you're the most indoctrinated. In fact, you're not the most educated, you're the most enrolled, and actually you have the highest dropout rate. So just because you go to school doesn't mean you educated, you know? But anyway, verses 14, it says, the Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof as a drunken man staggering in his vomit. So from your business models to your CEO to your mass corporation that's not going to make it through the collapse, to your low-end jobs, to your healthcare professions, hell, nurses are going to be laid off, doctors are fucking quitting, corporations, AI is taking over everything, man. You know, so if your job is getting ready to be autonomous, then 9 times out of 10, your job can be on the line, okay? Because they'd rather put money into fixing up autonomous robots before they actually put money into your ass, man. You know? And it says, neither should there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail or branch or rush may do. So there ain't gonna be no work here. You know, like I remember going back to like 2011. This is in the time that when the markets were somewhat trying to rebound, but you know, in certain areas, mainly in Jake areas, you had people lining up around the corner to get a job at McDonald's, man, because people were hurt. I'm talking about in Chicago, you had lines wrapped around the corner to work in Mickey D's. You know, in Chicago, it's hard as hell to find a job. If you don't know nobody in Chicago, you SOL. But it says, and in that day, it says, neither should there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail or branch or rush may do. And in that day, should Egypt be like it to women, and it should be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he's shaking over it. So people are languishing. People are in the spirit of languishing now because they don't know where that next form of income is going to come from. All right. Look at this. 300,000 black women lost their jobs. Let's look at the most recent one. We had one. TCS, Intel, Microsoft. A global wave of AI-led mass layoffs. Let's look at this real quick.
I emphasize again,
and you
it
women
is
gonna
free to
suffer
join my
the
community.
most.
The stocks I share are also free. The techniques and strategies.
For the last few years, every January has started with the same headline, the year of layoffs. But 2025 feels different, and here's why. It's not just cost-cutting or restructuring or inflation or even a pandemic hangover. This time, there is a clear culprit. It's artificial intelligence. If you're wondering whether AI is coming for your job, well, spoiler alert, it may already have. Let's start with India's tech titan, TCS, Tata Consultancy Services. They're letting go of 12,000 people. 12,000. That's roughly 2% of their global workforce being laid off. This is the largest layoff in the history of TCS. The worst affected are mid and senior level managers. Now, TCS says AI is not the reason.
I got laid off today. After 10 years at the most amazing company.
My company is dropping people like hotcakes. Literally, I swear every other week someone's getting laid off.
Let me show you guys how bad the job market is. So IBM, one of the biggest employers, not just in the US, but like the entire world, replaces hundreds with AI as human resources gets absolutely decimated. So one of the most recent IBM layoffs was like 9,000 people. And before that, it was like 8,000 people, around that area. It was like almost 20,000 this year. And basically, AI is so powerful, they replaced you with artificial intelligence. And this is kind of like the reason why you got so many people being laid off. So many people are taking multiple steps backwards in their careers. You got people right now stressing out about jobs. People are going to college more than ever before. My college is like expanding rapidly because enrollment is through the roof. So you got a bunch of fresh college grads that will be cranked out the next few years, even these few years included. A bunch of people coming to the US for work, a bunch of federal layoffs, federal hiring freeze, tech layoffs, finance layoffs, insurance layoffs. And it's getting to the point where even trying to get a job at Walmart is kind of difficult. Okay, when have retail jobs been not entry level? It has always been a very entry level job. Though today, this person went through like 10 retail jobs in one day that were just retail associate jobs. Very, very simple jobs that could teach you in one day and you get it. But now it's like minimum 1 to 3 years of retail experience required. Proof of experience in a previous customer service role. And you need to know how to work a cash register. I mean, what's going on here? You know, aren't retail work like super simple, and aren't retail jobs like very entry? Like, what's going on here? Why are retail jobs like this? It's getting to a point where people on social media are actually happy and are jumping up and down because they got a job at Target or McDonald's, because simply getting a job at all is like very difficult. Now, if you guys think the US job market is bad, go up north to Canada and you have 300 people lining up for a single McDonald's job. It's actually more insane up north. But right now in the US, it's also pretty bad, and we're getting there, as even retail jobs aren't entry level anymore. And big tech companies are still doing layoffs. And
so yeah, man, so if you're in the tech industry, it's not looking too good. And people spend thousands of dollars on tech degrees, engineering degrees, man. You know, so yeah, it's getting real sticky for a lot of people. 2nd Ezra 6, and I'm gonna start at verses 18. It says, and it said, behold, days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, when the affliction of Zion should be fulfilled. All right, and the affliction of Zion is our captivity. We're transitioning into a new kingdom, but first this place must be brought down, because the scriptures say the saints shall take the kingdom. So Babylon has to be thrown down first before we can. And this is the muddy waters before the kingdom. All right, this place is like infested shark waters. It's like the scriptures goes into 2nd Ezra 7, how the kingdom of heaven is set in a far and a dangerous place, and you got to cross the dangers and the perils to get there. Even though that's talking about a course of our lifetimes, since the Lord has since the fall, when the time of the garden, up into this present time. But like in the Mario Brother games, you go through them other levels, and the final level when you fight Bowser or King Koopa, that's the hardest fucking level, man. Booby traps, flying fishes, Goombas spitting fire at your ass. That's America, man. Okay, this damn dungeon. And, Yahweh Shai being Mario, this come and save the princess, which is Israel, from the fucking serpent, which is Esau, Bowser ass. What's a big game of Mario Brothers, bro? And we at the last level, and it gets harder, gets more challenging. And we ain't seen nothing yet, because these people getting ready to lose it. And it reads, and it says, and when the world that should begin to vanish away should be finished, then I will show these tokens, and the book should be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The woman and child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. Okay, going into your preemies, your men, your people that it's off mentally, premature babies. Like I know a chick, she was literally born in 4 months, and now she's a full-grown female. You would never know. She's kind of weird. She's kind of strange. But nonetheless, she told me, she could have been lying, but she said, yeah, she was born in 4 or 5 months. After 5 months, they said she was literally, you can fit her in the palm of your hand. That's how small she was. And she's grown up to be a whole woman, to say the least. And trust me, I know. Anyway, it says, and the children of a year old should speak, read that. It says, and suddenly should the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses should be suddenly found empty. Yeah, the markets, man. Your grocery stores, when these trucks stop delivering to these particular retail stores, these grocery stores, that's when people gonna really start to realize, like, wait a minute, something ain't right. We in trouble, And it says here, and a trumpet should give sound, and when every man hear it, they should suddenly be afraid. So yeah, the sound that the trumpet is blowing, and people are just, they're just in a dilemma now because they don't know how they're gonna come from underneath this rock, and they're just hoping like hell that some haymaker of a miracle just transpired to turn everything back into fucking 1999. But even then, things were bad then. Okay, you're just now seeing the effect of the kick the can down the road syndrome. So what you're seeing is a snowball effect. As long as they continue to push the can down the road, eventually the collapse is gonna be even bigger. And that's what people are not banking on. Ecclesiastes 12. I'm gonna start at verses 1. It says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, when the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. So don't be like old Maybelline or Meryl that waits till she's 85 years old, getting ready to drop dead from a heart attack. Now she wants to accept the Lord on a deathbed. When you're getting ready to plummet to you like that OnlyFans model. She was recording herself getting banged out in a threesome, and a bitch plummet to her death, head first off a fucking balcony. I guess she didn't see that coming. And it says, and while the sun or light or moon or stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, but in the days when the keepers of the house should tremble, and the strong men should bow themselves, the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors should be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he should rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music should be brought low. All right. So going into the optimists, people they're not optimistic about the future anymore. And the crazy part about it is that Trump is basically continuing what Biden started. Trump has been in office since January, so we're roughly 6 months. Ain't even been a year yet. So you think people can stomach another 3.5 years of this dude? Nah, it's not looking good, especially when he's cutting all his aid and Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, and cutting funding, HIV funding. I mean, he's cutting a lot of programs, man. So, hey, brothers, you got to really be locked in. Watch how you move out here. Keep yourself safe. Keep your bodies on point. Watch you sticking and moving with, and always put the hat on if you're sticking a foreign substance, if you know what I mean. Meaning, if you're dealing with women, and you so happens to pick up a chick or whatever, and you end up dealing with her, make sure you use protection, all right, to say the least, because, hey, you don't want to get caught up in some shit that they ain't got no funding for your ass no more. Now you got to earn. So, yeah, I end it there, man. Giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Makakwadash. Lord's will you edified to the next lesson. Shalom.